Hi there, are you ready to showcase your coding skills and land your dream job? Let's build a stunning software engineer portfolio using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Learn how to create a visually appealing and highly functional portfolio that highlights your projects, experience, and blogs. Don't miss out this opportunity to evaluate your professional presence and open doors to exciting career opportunities. Let's have a quick demo right here. Here on the screen, we can see the portfolio website that contains logo, dynamic menus with download CV button, and then below text says who am I with dynamic social network links. If I scroll, you can see the features. If I scroll again, you can able to see the about section with person image and detailed explanation. If I scroll, you can able to see the fixed top navigation bar. It was set the menu active based on the session. And then below we have a portfolio of my recent works. Here we can see the list of projects done by the users, all the projects we have already created and uploaded in my channel. So I have used for this references, and then below we can see the fun fact of that user. Below we can see the work experience and then education. If I click on service, here we can see the service what I offer, and then contact, we can see the contact to that person. If I click on blog, here we can see the recent blogs to that user. End of the website, we can see the footer with logo and then copyright text with social network icons. And then next to this, here we can see the scroll to top icon. Once we click this, it was automatically scroll to the top. If we are in the top, the icon will be disabled. If I scroll, now we can see that. If I scroll to the top, again we can see that. If I scroll to that particular session, it will be visible. So this website is fully responsive. Now I have switched to the tablet view. The top navigation bar has gone, and now we get the mobile menus. Once we click these three bars, we can get the side collapse menu bar with dynamic menus. If I click, it will close. And again, if I scroll, we can see the fixed navigation bar. And if I click on works, we can get that particular session. This is responsive for mobile also. So if I scroll to the top, and here we can able to see the menus. We can click and navigate, and then we can close this. That's all for the demo. Before beginning this video, I would like to introduce myself as Sharachandar K. If you find this tutorial useful, please subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. Let's level up our tech game together. Here on my desktop, I have already created project folder name called Software Engineer Portfolio. Let me open this into a Visual Studio Code. So for that, I will drag this directly into a Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code will automatically loads all the files inside it. Inside the directory, I have already created index.html, style.css, and script.js. Along with that, we have a supported images, and then inside the index.html, I have already created the HTML boilerplate with the help of exclamation mark. I have changed the title to Software Engineer Portfolio by Sharachandar K. Below, I have linked the style.css and script.js. Apart from this, I have used one more link tag to use the icons with font awesome. Inside the body, we are going to add the header first. So with header, inside the header, I am going to add the div with id and class with the help of embed abbreviation. So I will type hash with header sticky with class of transparent header. If I hit enter, it will automatically create the div tag with the id attribute with value of header sticky, class attribute with the value of transparent header. Inside that, I am going to add the container with same embed abbreviation dot. If I hit enter, it will create a div with class of container, and inside that I am going to add a row. Inside the row, we are going to create the logo. So inside the logo, I'm going to use the I tag to use the font awesome logo with class of FA solid FA code logo value of shop. And then next to this, I'm going to add the main menu with div. Inside that, we are going to add the top navigation bar with the help of nav dot class value of desktop menu. Inside that, I will add the UL tag. These are the UL tag. We are going to add the dynamic menu from the JavaScript. Next to this, I am going to add the download CV button with the help of div. Inside that, I'm going to add the button with class value of btn button value of download CV. Next to this, we are going to add the mobile bar. Inside that, I'm going to use the icon with class of FA solid FA bars. Now let us see our HTML file in action. So for that in Visual Studio Code, we have a extension called Go Live. Once we click this, it will automatically run our project into the default browser. So here we can see the icon with show of the logo with download CV button with menu bars. Now we need to style this. For that I will jump to the style.css. So here I have already added the import URL of font family Jost, and I have added some colors with text color, primary color, session BG, light color, and then title color. These are the colors we are going to use repetitively. So I have created as the root variable. So inside that we can use that many times. Here we have added the asterisk or a global element to reset the values and set the values of font family. Next to this, I am going to add the styles to the body with the help of element selector body. First, we'll set all the font size to 1 rem, font weight to 500, line height to 1.5. We'll set the color of that entire website using variable of text color. So this text color will refer the color of this particular variable. We'll add the background with variable of primary color. The primary color is white. We need to set common styles to some element. So for that I will add the styles to the UL. I will reset the margin to 0, padding to 0. For the LI, we'll remove all the list style to none. For the image of element selector IMG, we'll set the max width to 100%. We'll add the transition of all 0.3 second, years out with 0 second. Now we need to add the styles to the header, right? So I will copy this class selector. We'll use the class selector with dot of the value of transparent header. I will mention the command for this to segregate which are the parts represent to which one. And I need to set this transparent header on top always. So for that I will set the position to absolute. We'll set the top to 0, left to 0, width of 100 percentage, transition to 0.3 second, padding top and bottom to be 0, right and left to 5 rem. We'll set the z index of 9999. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can able to see the header. It's placed with the padding. Now we need to set all the text into the center of the screen, right? So for that again I will jump to here. We need to add the styles to this class selector of row. So these are the row we are going to use commonly in many times. So I will set the row as display flags. We are going to use the align item center. So I will create a common class for this align item center. Next thing as justify content to. Inside that justify content of space between. I will use this align items to this row. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can able to see the align items to be center for that particular row. If I insert here, we can see the row class to that container. And then I will set justify content also. If I save here, we can see the justify content with space between. If I go to the styles, if I remove this, it will be next to the elements. If I add this, we can see the space between these two elements. We'll add the styles to the logo with the help of class selector with dot logo. We'll set the color with variable of primary color. I will add the font size to 35 px, font weight to bold. If I save, we can see the text here because we have added the color. Now I will set the background color to this with background of variable with that text color. If I save, now we can able to see this. For now, we can add the menus here. So for that, I will jump to the index.html. I will add the lis of a href. I will add the hash, and then inside that I will add the some menus for now. So later we can do this as dynamic. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can able to see that. So now we need to add the styles to that. So again, I will jump to the style.css. For this navbar, we have a class already. So I will use the same with dot desktop menu. For now, I will set display to none, transition to 0.3. If I save, if I go to browser, we can't able to see that. So I will set these things to block. Now I will set the styles to that li desktop menu with that element selector of ul, and then li will set the display inline block, will add the margin left to 35 px, will set the position to relative. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see the LIs in the column view. Now we need to add the styles to that A also. So for that desktop menu, UL and then LI, I need to add the styles to all the A. With the help of arrow mark, I will use the color of primary, will set the display to inline block again, will set the padding, inner spacing top and bottom to 50 px, right and left to 0. We'll remove the underline to this with the help of text decoration to none. We'll set the font size to 18 px. If I say, if I go to the browser, now we can able to see the menus. It was listed here. So once we over, we need to add the animation effect to that, right? So again, I will jump to the style.css. I will copy this selection. I will add the A of before. So this will help to set that over effect with the position of absolute. Will set the content to null, width of 0, height of 2 px. Will add the bottom to 45 px. I will add the transition of all 0.3 second. Again, ears out with 0 second. Now if I go to the browser, I insert, if I go and click here, inside the A, we can see the before. If I click on before, we can see the styles here. Once we over, we need to display that. So for that, again, the same thing of li of all the A with hover, we need to set the before content to that. The same thing of li dot active. Once the menu is active of A of before, we need to set that. So with the help of background of primary color of that variable, I will set the width of 100 percentage, will set the left to 0. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I over, now we can able to see the animation effect to that menus. How cool is this, right? Now we need to set this menu and then download CV in a single liner, right? So for that, I will jump to the index.html. Here we are going to use the display flux. So for that, we have already used the row align items to be center. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the main menus with that element it's set to center. I will add the styles to this dot main menu of dot download CV. For this download CV, I will set the margin left to 45 px. If I save, here we can able to see the space. And then next thing, we need to add the styles to the mobile bar. So for that, again with main menu of dot mobile bar, I will set the color to same primary color. Then we'll set the cursor to pointer. We'll set z index to 99. So if I save, here we can able to see the styles to this. This mobile menu will visible only for tablet or mobile view, right? So for now, we'll set the display to none to hide this. If I save, we can't see that. Next thing, we need to add the styles to this button. With the help of btn, I will add the color to same primary color, border to 1 px solid, whereof primary color. We'll set the background to transparent, adding inner spacing 15 px, top and bottom, right and left to 30 px. We'll set the font size to 15 px, font weight to 500, border radius 5 px. We'll remove the outline with 0 and then none. We'll set the text transform to capitalize. I will set the cursor to pointer. We'll add the transition of all 0.5 second and ease in and out. If I save, now we can able to see the button style to that BTN. So wherever we are using this BTN, this style should be applicable. Once we over, we need to add the styles to this with same BTN of over. We'll change the color to primary color and then we'll add the background color to the text color. I will change the color. If I go on over, now we can able to see the effect on that button. Next thing, we are going to add the side mobile menu. So for that, so I will collapse this header for now, and then next to this I'm going to add one more div with class of side mobile menu. If I hit enter, inside that I'm going to create one more div of close site mobile menu. Inside that I'm going to add the icons with the help of class font awesome solid font awesome circle x mark. Again I'm going to add one more div with menu bar. Inside that I'm going to add the nav with mobile menu. Inside that we are going to use the same practice how you done for the UL. For the top I will add li a of href. For now, I will add some two elements and then later we can change this as dynamic home and about. Below to this, I'm going to add the h5 element with class of follow me, value of same follow me. And then below to this, we are going to add one more UL tag with class value of social. Then inside that, I will add li. So inside this social, I'm going to add one icon and then later we can set this as dynamic. Next to this I'm going to add one more div with body overlay. Once we open this menu bar, we need to add some background color. With the help of this overlay we can achieve that. So now I need to add the styles to this. So again I will jump to the style.css. I'm going to add the styles to this side mobile menu of dot. I will add the width of 380 px and then height of 100 percentage. We'll set the position to fixed and then top to 0, left of minus 125 percentage and then z index of 9999. I will add the background of text color. I will set the padding inner space 35 px. Again we'll set the transition of all 0.5 second with ears out. If I save, we can't able to see that. Instead of minus 125 I set to 0. Now we can able to see the side mobile menu here and then we need to add the styles to this close side mobile menu also. And then again with this class we'll add the text align to end. We'll set the margin to 10 px. We need to add the styles to that I also because inside that we have added the I tag. So with the help of I we'll set the font size to 35 px. I will add the color of primary color. We'll set the display to inline block. If I save, now we can able to see the crossed icon here. Now we need to style this. So with the same dot side mobile menu, I will copy this navbar of class value and then UL and then li of a. I will set the color of primary color. This should set to white, font weight to 400, font size to 16 px, padding inner spacing, top and bottom to 10 px and then right and left to 5 percentage. And then we'll remove the text decoration of that underline with the help of none. We'll set the display to block width of 90 percentage. If I save, we can see the styles same as the top menu. Next to this, I need to add the styles to this follow me and then social icon. So I will use this follow me as a class selector. I will add the margin top to 35 px, color of same primary color with white, font size to 20 px. We'll set the margin bottom to 10 px. So now we'll add the styles to this social of ul dot social, we'll set the display to flags. We'll set the align items to be center. So instead of this, I will go here and I will use the row and then align items here. And then I will remove these two things and then I will set the margin bottom to 25 px. And now I need to add the dot social of li margin right to 0.5 rem. I will add the border radius of 50 percentage. If I save here, we can able to see the in and I need to add the background color to this. So again with the social of li and then I tag. So I will use the font size to 22 px, color of primary and then width of 45 px and then height of 45 px, line height 45 px. This will help to set the icon into the center of the screen with the help of text align to be center. If I save here, we can able to see the LinkedIn icon to this. Now we have added the icon here. Once the side navbar is open, we need to set the body overlay. So for that, we have already added this body overlay here. I will copy this and I will add the styles to this with the help of background color with RGBA color. We are going to set the blur effect to red to 0, green to 0, blue to 0 and alpha should be 0.5. If I save now, we can't see that because we need to set the height of 100 percentage and then width of 100 percentage. If I save here, we can see that I'm going to set this position to fixed. We'll set the top to 0 and then left to 0. We'll add the z index to 999. If I save, now we can see the body overlay on top of the website. Once we open, this should be on top of this. And then we'll set the opacity to 0 and then visibility to hidden for now, transition to all 0.5 and ears out. If I save, now we can't see that. Instead of hidden, I can set to visible and then opacity to. If I save, now we can see that this should need a functionality. So for now, we'll set this sidebar also. Instead of left, I can set to minus 125 percentage. If I save, we can't see that. Now we have completed the header session and then sidebar also. We need to add the main session. So again, I will collapse this. As I said, I'm going to add the main session with the help of main tag. So inside that, we are going to add some sessions. So for the first session with ID of home, if I hit enter, it will create the session. And then inside that, I'm going to add the container. So these are the same patterns we are going to use for other sessions also. So I will copy this and I will paste it here. Instead of home, I will set these things to about. I will paste it the same. And then here we are going to change as works. Next one, I will paste it below to this and I will mention this as service. Next to this, I'm going to make this as contact. Then next to this, I'm going to add the blog. These are the content inside the main. So after the main, we are going to add the footer also. So for now, I will make the footer also here with footer inside that same container. Now we need to implement this session one by one. Now we are going to add the sessions of home. Inside the home, I have already added the container. Apart from that, I need to use this as single slider because this set to top on all the time. So I will use this single slider and then inside that I have already added the div. Inside that I'm going to add the h1 tag. So inside the h1 tag I'm going to mention the name with welcome message. So for that I will add the span tag and I can mention this as subheading and then I can say here hello I am and then another span tag of class name with subname with that name of Sharat subname of Chandar K. If I save, we can't see that because it was backside on this header. So we need to add the styles to that also. Next to this, I'm going to add another H2. I will mention as have passionate with pan tag as full stack developer. And then next to this, I'm going to add two more buttons. The first button is class with btn. This will set the same styles to this of say hello, then value of say hello. Then I will copy the same, paste it for below. Instead of say hello, I will change these things to about me. I will change the value also about me. And then next to this container, I'm going to add the social network icons. So I will use social home, and then inside that I will add the UL tag. So we need to style this. So again, I will jump to the style.css. I will add the commands to this particular session of home. I will use the ID selector of ash with the value of home. We have already added the single slider here. I will use the same class name of dot selector. I will set the height to 900 px. Then I need to set this background image here. For this, I will set the image of background with the help of URL with images, and then here we have already added the slider bg image. I will set the background size to cover. I will set the background repeat to no repeat. I will add the overflow hidden. I will set the position to relative, max height to 1080 px. If I save now, we can see the background image, but still the content is not visible. So for that, we need to add the styles to this with the help of row, align item center. If I save, now we can see this. Here for this, we need to add the justify content to be center. If I save, now we can see the say hello and about me into the center of the screen. The h1 tag is there, but we need to add the color to that. I will add the styles to this idea of home with dot container. I will set the text align to center. We'll add the color to the entire container of primary color. If I save, now we can see this with center of the screen. Now we need to add the styles to this h1 tag. So for that, again with hash home with dot container, I will use the subheading of class. We'll add the font size to 30 px, line height to 1.3. We'll set letter spacing 7 px, font weight to 400, and then display to block. If I save, we can see this. For the text allow, I need to add the styles to this entire h1, right? So I will copy this. I will set this element selector of h1. I will set the font size to 90 px, text align to be center. We'll set the letter spacing of 5 px. If I save, now we can able to see the font size. For the subname, we need to change the font, right? So for that, again, I will copy this, and then I will use the subname class to that and tag, and then I will set the WebKit text stroke to 2 px of white, and then again same WebKit text fill color to be transparent. If I save, now we can see the text of two different shapes. How simple is this, right? I need to add the styles to this. Again, I will copy this same, and I will use the h2. I will set the text align to center again. We'll set the font size to 30 px for this. Line height to 2. Margin bottom to 45 px. If I save, now we can able to see this. So I need to set this different font size to that role of the user. For that, I will use this with span tag of font size 38 px. If I save, now we can see the differentiate of this same text will be different. Then next thing, I need to add the different color to this button. With the help of this one, hash home dot container of dot say hello, and then I will set the margin right to 15 px, and then I will set the background color to whereof primary color of text color. If I save, now we can able to see the two differentiate. So for this, I will use the different over effect. I will copy this, and I will change the primary color to this of text color, and then this for primary color. If I save, if I go on over, now we can able to see the styles to this. The next thing, we need to add the styles to this social icon. So again, the list is null. I will add the li of I tag. I will use the same, and I will add the styles to this of hash home dot social icon. Will set the position to absolute because we are going to set the social icon into the right hand side. I will add the right to 0, and then we'll set the top to 50 percentage. We'll set the transform translate y to minus 50 percentage. I need to add the styles to that UL also. So I will copy this social home and then UL will add the padding right to 50 px. Then same thing for UL and then I will add the styles to the LI. We are going to add the border to highlight this with 1 px solid and then RGB color with 204 of red, 211 of green, blue to 217 and then 0.2. If I save, so here we can see that we need to add more style to this. So I will set the border radius to 5 px and then margin top and bottom to 10 px, right and left to 0. I will copy this and I will add the styles to that A because I need to add this as a href. While clicking this, we need to jump to the new tab, right? So here we can see the LinkedIn. So for this A, I will set the display to block, text align to be center, font size to 18 px, width of 55 px, then margin top and bottom to 2 px, right and left to 0. I will set the height of 50 px, line height to 52 px. We'll set the color of primary with white. If I save, now we can see this. So we can add more icons like here. If I save here, we can able to see this. Right now we are in the tablet view. If I go to the desktop view, here we can see this. So this icon should be dynamic. And once we scroll, we can't able to see the top navigation bar here, right? We need to set the top navigation bar to sticky. So how we can do that? First we need to add the styles to that. So I will jump to the style.css. Next to the mobile bar, I need to add the styles as sticky menu. So I will add the class value of sticky menu and then I will set the background color to text color. Will set the position to fixed, top to 0, left to 0, width of 100 percentage, and then z index of 99. Will add the box shadow to this with 0, 8 px of that direction and then 4 px and minus 7 px. We'll set the RGBA color with red to 115, green to 115, blue to 115 and then all four should be 0.1 and we'll add the transition to this of 0.5 second. If I save, nothing will happen. If I copy this sticky menu, if I go here, if I add this sticky menu to this transparent header and if I hit enter here, we can see that. So once we scroll, we need to append this. If I refresh, if I scroll, we can't see that. This functionality should be added in the JavaScript. So for that, I need to jump to the script.js. Here in the script.js, I have already added the arrays of menus and then social links. So here we can see the 6 menus and then 4 social links. These are the dynamics we need to append here. We can achieve this in shortly. So for that, I need to declare the declaration with the help of const with header sticky equal to document. Document object represent your web page. If you want to access any element in an HTML page, you always start with accessing the document object. So with the help of get element by ID with header sticky. So if I go to the header, here we have used that header sticky as an ID. So what this contains? So I will use the console.log to find this. If I save, if I go to the browser in the console.log, we can see the header sticky entire DOM object here. Once we scroll, we need to set the styles to that, right? So how we can achieve that? So for that, we are going to add the window.scroll. So with the help of window object and then add event listener. Inside the add event listener, we are going to use the scroll function of bracket. Here we can see the console.log of window dot scroll y. So sorry, this is a screen. It is appended as screen. Instead of screen, we need to set to scroll y. If I save, again I will jump to the browser. If I scroll, here we can able to see how much scroll is append to the window. So if I go to the top, it was 0. If I scroll, it was getting the scroll positions with that number. Here if this scroll y greater than 50, that time we can set. So here it was 0. If I scroll, it was either on the 50. So it is 50. I need to set the header sticky of that class of dot class list dot add we have added the newly class of sticky menu, and then I will add this. If I go, if I refresh, if I scroll, see now it was set all the time. If I go to the element, if I scroll, it was set all the time. So you can able to see the box shadow here. Instead of this, once it's 0, we need to set to transparent. So for that, we'll add the same thing. I will use the same line here, and I will, instead of add, I will set to remove. If I save, now the window scroll was 0. Now we can't able to see the border. If I scroll, see now we can set this to fixed. So once we set to fixed, we need to set this height of the header, right? How we can fix that? So again, I need to jump to the style.css. Once the sticky menu, we need to reduce the logo size of font size to 30 px, and then we'll add the transition to 0.3 second. If I save, if I go on scroll, you can able to see the logo size is changing. The same as we need to reduce the size of this. So same sticky menu dot for this desktop menu ul li of all the a will remove the padding to 25 px to top and bottom, and then right and left to 0. Then I will reduce the font size to 17 px. We'll set the transition of 0.3 second. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I scroll, now we can able to see the transition effect, the height of the header, and then font size it was reduced. Next thing, we are going to add the menus dynamic. So for this, again I will jump to the script.js. Here I will replace this header sticky to that all declarations. What are the declarations? I am going to use this into the website. You can pause the video and you can write it by your own. If I declare all the declaration, it will take some time. So for the time consumption, I will add the declaration by own. And then next thing, as I said, I'm going to add the dynamic menus and icons here with the help of onload. So how we can do that? The same thing with window dot add event listener of even should be load here. So previously we used for scroll, here we need to use for load. Inside that we are going to use that. Here we have already have the array of menus. I will set the array menus of for each will iterate to that menu I of index. I will check this console.log of menu comma I. If I save, if I go to the browser in the console without any action, we'll get all the values. That is how the add event listener of load will work. So here we can see the array value of home and then index of 0. So now we need to append this value into the header. Inside the onload, I will create one more declaration of let item 1 equal to document dot create element. This will help to create the element of li, because we are going to append this li into this ul. So I will copy the same. I will create one more of item 2. This item 2 is going to set to that site mobile navigation. So this also we need to set, right? This is item 1 is for top nav, item 2 is for side nav. I will create item 1 dot inner html equal to, we'll add the a tag of href, because we have added the styles to this with the help of string concatenation of menu. Again, one more string concatenation of same menu. So this item 1 is same as item 2. Now we need to append this for desktop menu as well as the mobile menu. So for this, I have already added the desktop menu of ul with query selector dot append of li. This is for mobile menu with ul dot append of item 2. If I save, we are getting an error of console. So li is not defined. This is not an li. This is an item 1, and this is for mobile for item 2. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see the menus as dynamic with styles. How simple is this, right? I can check for this also. Here also it is added. So we need to remove the static values from the index.html. I will remove this. I will remove the li inside this also. If I go and refresh, now we can able to see the menus here as well as the sidebar too. So if in future, if you want to disable any of the menus, so simply we can directly go to the style.js. I can remove the service and then contact session from here. So I can cut. If I save, now we can able to see only the 4 menus. So if I undo this, now we can get. So for the sessions also, we need to disable and enable based on the menus. That is one more interesting thing that we can do. And now we need to append the social icons also, right? So same as this, I will create one more for each of social links dot for each. So inside that, I will add links with function of let item equal to same document dot create element of li item dot inner html equal to, we are going to add the same thing of href, and then here with string concatenation. So here in the social link we have three different values. For the menu array we have straightforward. For this social link we have the link icon as well as the background color. This link we are going to append. Once we click this, it will redirect to this particular link, and then this was the icon and this was the background color. So for this link, as I said, instead of links I will set these things to link dot link, and I will close this a tag, and then inside that I will add I tag of font awesome class with string concatenation with link of dot icon. I will close the I tag. I will append this into the social. So here I have already declared the social of this class value of social dot append item. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see because that social is in side mobile menu. So I will go and set these things to fix. So again I will go here in the index.html. I will remove the static icons into the mobile menu. If I remove, if I save, if I go to the browser, I will enable it. So here we can see this. So now we need to add the background color. So how we can do this? So for that, in item dot style dot background, so for this we have already added the background to this link dot bg. If I save, now if I go and enable the sidebar menu, here now we can able to see the dynamic icons with background color. So for this background color we need to set the styles. So here we need to set this adding to this with social li of a with adding to 0px with important. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I enable that sidebar menu, now we can able to see the follow me with icons. So for now we have set this as hash. If you have any links, you can give it here. It will automatically append here. For example, if only we have Facebook and X and right now we don't have LinkedIn, so again we no need to go and change the HTML here. So instead of that, so I can directly came here. If I cut, if I save, if I upload, only we can see the three social networks. That is how the dynamic content will work. Now we need to append the social icons here also. So with same onload that social links, I will create one more let with item home with create li with item home of the same value. So here instead of style background, I have set this directly the inner HTML. I have appended this and then I need to change this link here. If I save, now we can able to see the social icon here. So how much we have, it will be grown. So for the static, we need to remove. So for that, I will jump to the index.html. Here in the home, I can simply remove all the static element. If I save, now only we can see the dynamic content here. So if I scroll, we can get that. So the next thing we need to add the features. So for that, I will jump to the index.html. So I will close this session. So here inside the home, next to this single slider, we need to add one more div of intro feature. If I hit enter, it will create a div. Inside that, I'm going to create one more div with row with line items to be center because we are going to set this content into the center of the screen. Here inside that, we are going to add the four intros with four div, or we can add the four div with embed abbreviation. So for that in Visual Studio Code, I can type single intro hashtag of 4. If I hit enter, it will create 4 intros of 4 div. Inside that, I am going to create the icons with intro icon as record binary. Next thing, I'm going to add the intro text, and then inside that, I will add the h4 of dedication. Next to this, I'm going to add the p tag with some dummy text here. So if I go to the browser here, we can see this with icon. This is what the feature we need to add for 4 times. So the same thing inside this, I will copy here. I will paste it for other divs also. And then I will change the dedication to smart work and then icon and then third one as collaboration and then fourth one as technology. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the display with flux of design. So we need to add the styles to this. So I will jump to the style.css here in the home session. First, I will add the home of intro feature because this is what the div has created of intro feature. I will set the background color to this session BG. This is the one more color we have added here. So this will take that session BG as background color. Next to this, I am going to add the styles to the row with same intro feature of row. I will set the padding to 5 rem with gap of 25 px. This gap will work for this div of display flux. I need to set the styles to this each single intro with box shadow of 0 px, 5 px, 60 px, 0 px of the position and then RGBA color of red to 2, green to 24, blue to 93 and then alpha should be 0.8. We'll add the inner spacing of 55 px of top, 48 px of bottom, 35 px right, 48 px again to the left. We'll set the border radius to 20 px. We'll set the cursor to pointer. We'll set the transition to 0.3 second. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see this. And then once we over, we need to add the styles to this. I will add this over to this single intro of box shadow with same box shadow and then all for color of 0.15. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I over, we can see the background effect to that box shadow of that container. So here we can see the all box in a single line. So we need to add some styles to up and down like steps. So how we can do that? So for that, the same single intro we can add this second and fourth child to be lower comparing to the first and third child. You have already got what I am going to do. Single intro of nth child of 2 and I will copy the same and then nth child of 4. I will add the margin top to 100 px. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see the difference. One is up and one is down and again one is up and again one is down. So here we can get some stylish effect. Next thing I need to add the styles to the icon with the help of intro icon with I will set the font size to 4 rem, margin bottom to 15 px. I will set the color to text color. I will set the styles to that h4 of intro text. So I will use the intro text here of margin top to 1 rem. Same thing of intro text h4 element of font size 24 px, margin bottom to 22 px. Same thing into text of p tag will set the font size to 18 px. Will set the font weight to 400, line height to 1.67. Then we'll set the light color of variable. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see the icon size and then collaboration with p tag with font weight of 400 and then color also. Now we have fixed that header with styles and then home also. Now we need to add the session of about. So again I will jump to the index.html. Now this session of id home is done. Now I need to add the session of id of about. For this about I'm going to create class of about me dot row dot align item center. If I hit enter, it will create this div with 3 set of class. Inside that, I'm going to add the about image to display the user image. I will set the image of source from that image folder of man.png. Below to this, I'm going to add the about content. Inside that about content, I'm going to add the title and then inside that I'm going to add the title of about me with help of pan tag. Next to this I'm going to add the h2 element and I can say I develop system that works. Next to this I'm going to add the paragraph tag with info text. So in this info text, I'm going to add some dummy text here with two set of value. Same thing of info text with same dummy text. Next to this, I'm going to add the about info of row. Inside that dot row dot align item center. Inside that, I'm going to create the UL and then LI. Here I can mention this as name. This is for age and this p tag as for occupation. Another LI with the value of name for Saraj Chandar, age as 29, occupation as senior technical lead. I will copy and use the same div here below to this. Instead of name, age, occupation, I will change to phone, email and nationality. Here for this value of phone number, email ID of allo@dev.com and then nationality of Bengaluru. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I scroll to the bottom, so here we can see the person image with about content here. We need to style this. So again, I will jump to the style.css. I'm going to add the styles to that about dot container of padding 5 rem. If I save, now we can able to see the padding of that about session. The same padding should be applicable for all other session also, right? So I can use the same for others ID and containers. So I will use with comma and then I will add ID and then container. It will applicable to all the session with ID of container. Now I need to add the styles to this title with dot title. This is a common thing. So I will use the color of title color, title dot pan tag of font size 18px, letter spacing 7px. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see this title with color content, title of H2. I will set the font size to 50px, margin bottom to 30px, color of text color. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see this. So this title and then H2 is common for all the sessions. So for this, if I add any div with title and then H2, same style will be applicable to the entire project. And then next thing, I'm going to add the styles to the about content. So we need to set all the about me into the center of the screen. So for this, I will use the about me of dot class with justify content to be center. For this, we have already added the row, align items, and then I need to set this justify content here. So I can remove this. Now I need to add the styles to the about image. So I will use this about image of class. I will set the width of 800px and then margin to 20px. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see the about image it fit to the screen. And then next thing I need to add the styles to this with the help of id about content and then info text. For this info text, I will set the margin bottom to 25px, color of light color. Now we have this and list of row. We need to set this as column. This name should be equal to Srachandar K and then age to be 29. Like this, we need to show as row wise. For this about info, I will set this same as about info of this about content. Will set the border top and bottom of the color to this with 1px solid of light color. And then same thing I will copy and I will set these things to bottom also. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will insert this. So sorry, here we need to set this variable. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see this. And then next thing I will add the styles to the div. For this div, I will set the margin of npx and then as I said this li should be in list wise. So for that again with about info of li will set display to inline block. This will help to set this content into the inline. Will set the padding right to 50px. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see this. How simple is this, right? Now we can able to see the name and then particular value and then phone and then particular value. I need to add the styles to that p of padding with 0.5 rem. If I say we can get the space to this. That's all for the about. The next thing we have the works. Inside the work I need to add some marquee. So for that marquee, I will add the div of marquee. I will set the span tag of 2 times with the value of senior technical lead from India. And then I will copy the same marquee again and I will paste it below. Now the value should be I am open for new project. Let's work together. I will change this span and I will change here too. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the text. So we need to add the marquee effect to run this. So for that, instead of div, we have a tag of marquee in HTML. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the text is moving. So the same as we need to achieve this in style.css. Again, I will change these things to span tag. Now I will add the styles to this. As I said, this is a marquee and this marquee is content for that works. I will set the display to block and then margin auto, top and bottom, and then right and left to auto. White space to be no wrap, overflow to be hidden, min height to 100 percentage, height to 100 percentage. For this marquee, we have another tag of span. So I will add the marquee here again with that element selector of span tag. I will set the display to inline block. I will set the padding left to 0 percentage, text transform to uppercase, and then white space again to no wrap, then min width of 100 percentage, and then height of 100 percentage. Then I will set the line height to 1.1, font size to 96 px. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the text with font size. So now we need to make this as animative scroll, right? So for that we need to add the keyframe of the identifier of marquee1, and then inside this marquee I can set two parameters of 0 percentage 100 percentage. For this transform translate 0 comma 0. For the 100 percentage transform again with translate of minus 100 percentage comma 0. If I save, nothing will happen. I need to assign this marquee, right? For that, as I said, I'm going to add the animation of that keyframe of 20 seconds. Will set the linear to infinite. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the animation is running. For the both, it was going to the left hand side. So we need to set this one to right and one to left. So for this one as I can mention this as marquee2, and then again I will jump to the style.css. I will add the marquee2.span tag. I will use the same style of this. So I will copy and paste this with WebKit text stroke and then fill color. I will add the same animation to this. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see the text of first span is normal text and this one has we have style. So we need to rotate for right hand side, right? So this is simple. I can copy the keyframe and I will mention these things to 2 here instead of 0, and I will set to minus 100% like ulta I will set. I need to mention this as marquee2. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see this. But here we have a space. So we need to fix that. Instead of container, I will set this outside the works because we have set this container as padding with 5 rem. If I save, if I go to the browser here, now we can't able to see that space. Now we can see that now it is going backside to that website. Next thing we need to add the portfolio with list of projects. So for that I will add one more div of portfolio. I will move this container inside the portfolio. As I mentioned, I'm going to use the same title here. So I will copy this. I will paste it here. Instead of about me, I will set to portfolio here. This things as my recent works. Next to this title, I'm going to add one more div of my recent works. Inside this, I'm going to list the projects what I have worked on. So for that, I will create row dot align items center dot justify content. Inside this, I'm going to create the post category as web development, and then next div as post title as to-do list, and then next one as post image with the image of source from the image folder of project1.png. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see the category and then title with image. Now we need to add the styles to this. Again, I will jump to style.css here below the works. After the mark you, I will set the title text align to be center. Same thing for row of my recent works here with row. For this row, I will set the justify content to be space between, padding inner spacing top and bottom to 35 px, right and left to 0. We'll add the border to this with the help of border top 1 px solid variable of title color. And then we'll set the cursor to pointer. I need to set this entire div into 100%. So for this, I will copy this with the help of div. We'll set the width of 100%. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the web development to-do list and then app. Once we over this, we need to add the animation to this. So before that, I will add few more projects. As a developer, I have a challenge for you. For now, I have created this as static. So you need to create this as dynamic using JavaScript. For the last one, I need to add the margin bottom, right? So here I will jump to the style.css. I will use this same to add the margin bottom to that nth child of 4. So here right now we have only 4. If you are creating a dynamic, you need to find this last one and you need to set the margin bottom to this. So that is what the task for you, margin bottom. If you have done this as dynamic, you can take a screenshot and post it in the LinkedIn and tag me as Sharachandar K. Now we can see the border to this and now we need to add the styles to this. Then again I will jump to the style.css. I will add the styles to this post category with the help of same div here with post category of color with variable of title color with text transform to capitalize width of 40 percentage, padding of inner spacing 10 px. Same thing I will add for that post title too. I will change the font size to 48, line height to 1.2, width of 140 percentage, because here this both has same width. So instead of this, I need to set this 40 and this things to 140. Next thing, I need to add the styles to the image of post image, and then I will set the border radius to 10, width of 350. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see the list with font size of project name and then image size also. We need to transform the image once we over on that row. How we can do that? So for that here I will use this same element, and then as I said, if we over to this row, that time only we need to do that. So I will set the over of this row will transform to a rotate of -10 degree. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I over, now we can see the animation effect to this. So user can know which are the projects they are over on that list. Now we have added the recent work, and then next to this, we need to add the fun fact of that user. So in the index.html next to the container, I will paste the content of that fun fact and then experience content. If I save, if I go to the browser, next to this portfolio, we can see the fun fact with title and then text. Here we can see the fun fact of 8 years of experience and then total clients and then project digital services. And then below to this, we can see the work experience and then education. So I need to style this. So for that, again, I will jump to the style.css. I will add the fun fact of background color to be text color and then color of primary color. If I save, now we can able to see the background color and then text color of primary color. Next to this, I need to add the color to that h2 of title with primary color, because we have already added this title color as common on top. So we need to use this important to set the color of white here. So now it will set. Now we have set the styles to this, and then here we need to set the styles to this fun fact content. For this fun fact content, we have the years of experience and then it will be listed view. So we need to set to grid and to 2 per column. I will set the styles to here with work and then fun fact to display grid and then grid template column to be repeat for 2 times. If I save, now we can see the list to 2 times in a single row. And then next thing I need to add the styles to this fun code. Here we have four fun codes. So I will add the fun code style of padding 50 of top and bottom, right and left to 30 px. Then I will set the border of 1 px solid with RGB color. I will set the border radius to 10 px, margin to 25 px. If I save, now we can able to see this. So next thing I need to set the font size to this fun code count. So for that I will add the fun code of div. We'll set the font size to 72 px, line height to 0.4 and then margin right to 25 px. If I save, now we can see the font size of this. Next to this, same as this, I need to add the styles to this h3 also. I will copy this. I will add the h3 of element selector. We'll set the font size to 21 px, line height to 1.5 and then font weight to 400. If I save, we can see this. So instead of div, I need to change h3. If I save, now we can see this with space evenly. And then next thing I need to add the styles to this experience. For this experience, we need to set the space between both rows. So I can use this my work.experience justify content to be space around. And then I need to set this li because we have added this education and then work experience with ul and li. We need to set the styles to the each li of margin bottom to 25. If I save, we can see the space between these LIs and then I need to add the styles to this icon. For the icon, we have already still created with LI and then next element of dot icon with font size of 35 px, border radius to 10 px, margin to 10 and 20 px. If I save, we can see the icon to this. And then next thing we need to add the font size to h3 tag of that what the content we are used. So I will add the same li with service and then h3. I will set the font size to 30 px, font weight to 400, margin bottom to 0.5 rem. Same thing I need to add the styles to the h4 also. So I will copy this and then I will change the font size to 18 px and then margin bottom to same 0.5 rem. Below to this, I need to set the styles to this paragraph tag, this pan tag also. For this, I will copy this of pan tag. I will set the font size to 12 px, color of where the color. And then as I said, we are going to set this paragraph tag styles with p tag, font size 15 px, color of where title color. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the work experience and then education with styles. So here the style is not taking for the span tag because this is h3. But here in h4 we have mentioned. So I need to change these things to h4. If I save, if I go to the browser here, now we can see the styles to the span tag also. Now we have completed this work session also. The next thing we need to add this service session. So for that in the service session inside this we are going to add the title and then h2. So for the title we have already added the same for service and then what I offer. And then inside the service the same as this we need to add some content. So for that I have already created the content. I will copy and paste here because the same content is repeating. So instead of typing, I will use the same to copy and paste. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see this. So this is the service content and then what are the service is going to provide with web development. This is same UL and ELI tag. So we need to style this. Again, I will jump to the style.css. So here in this service, we are going to set the background color as text color of dark color. And then again, I will set the title to be center with the help of text align center. If I save, now we can see the service session with what I offer. Other content is not displayed because of that color change. Again, if I jump to the index.html, we need to add the styles to the service code, right? So for the service code, I will add the background color to white and then margin 10 px, border radius to 10 px and then padding to 40 px. We have already added the icon inside this. So we need to add the styles to that icon also. For that icon, I will set the font size to 70 px and then margin outer spacing to be to rem. And I will add the font size to this h3 tag. So this way we can find out this is a heading. We need to add the styles to that p tag also here. For the p tag we are using this light color and then font size as 18. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see that. So here it was in the list view. So anyway, we need to set the grid for 2 column, 1 per frame as like this. So we need to use this same content. So for that I will copy this because we are going to set this as 2 per 1, right? So we have already used this grid content. Will reuse with comma and then service content. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the grid of 2 repeat of 1 per frame. How simple is this, right? We have done this service and then next thing we need to add the content. So I will jump to the index.html to add to work on this content. Inside the content, I will add the title of contact me and then let's start a new project. Same thing, I will add the content here. I will copy and paste my content here. Inside that, I have already added one div with content detail, same as this service, and then inside that content only changed. Here this is UL and then LI of location and then phone number, mail ID. This is for the left hand side and then right hand side we have a contact form with input parameters with input of text, your name, email, phone number and subject with text message. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see this. This is what the title and then this is what the UL and then this is what the form. Now we need to style this. Next to this service, I will set this title into the center of the list with title of text align center. We need to set this both UL and then form should be center of the screen with space evenly. So for that I will add the content and then content row of space evenly. If I save, we can see the space evenly to this. Same thing, I will add the LI of margin bottom to 20 px and then I will add the styles to the icons with a font size of 32 and then margin of 10 px. And then next thing I will add the styles to this h4 element with font size of 24 px. Next thing I will add the styles to this p tag with the same li of p with font size of 18 and then color of light color. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see this. Now we need to add the styles to this form. So here for this we are going to add the styles to the form with the content form and input text area because we are going to set the styles commonly to all the input and then text area. So for that I will create that ID of content form with class selector and then element selector of text and then text area of element selector. I will add the margin inner spacing of 10 px, adding inner spacing of 10 px. We'll set the border radius to 10 px. We'll set the border to 1 px solid with title color. We'll remove the outline to none. We'll remove the resize to none for the text area. We'll set the width of 300 px and then height of 55 px. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see this. This should be where again. If I save, now we can see the text here. So here it is not fully filled to this. So for that I will add separate style to this with the text area. I will remove this. I will add the height of 100 percentage. This height of 100 percentage will set to row to height and then column to 50 with the help of width 97 percentage. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the contact me with that location with input area. And then next thing we need to add the blocks here. So for that again I will jump to the index.html. Here inside the blocks I'm going to add the HTML element of same thing like title and recent blocks. And then next to this I'm going to add the row with align item center. Then inside that I'm going to add the single block with that blog image of image source to be image of project1.png blog content of h3 and here I can add the title of the video. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see this get updates of title with blog. So I will copy this. I will reuse for 3 times because I'm going to display the 3 blocks here. So if I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see this. These are all the projects we have already uploaded in my channel. If you are interested, please check it out. Now we need to style this. So again, I will jump to the style.css. In the style.css for the blog, I will set the background color to the session BG. This is the light color of comparing to white. And then we need to set the styles to this of single block of margin 1 rem cursor to pointer. I will set the styles to the image of image with single block and then border radius to 10 px, box sizing to be same of that previously we have added for that service session, and then margin bottom to 20 px. Same thing, we can use the single block over, we need to scale to transform of that image. So I will use the transform of scale 1.1. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the recent block with over effect to that blocks. And then next thing, we need to add the content to the footer. So again, I will jump to the index.html. Inside the footer, I will add the row with column of text and then logo with all rights received by Sarachandar K. And then here next to this, we have added the follow me with social footer with UL. I need to add the styles to this. Again, I will jump to the style.css. I will add the color to that logo as well as the follow me. If I save, now we can see the color to this logo as well as the follow me. But the social icon is missed, right? We need to add from dynamic. So I will copy this. I will paste it here. Instead of item home, I used to set item footer. So we need to use the background color. So I will copy this and I will paste it here. Instead of item, I need to set to item footer. I will copy this. I will paste here. For the social, we'll set that social footer. So if I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the follow me with icons here. We need to add the styles to this. So for this social, we need to set the center of the list and then with center. If I save now, we can see the follow me with social icons. How simple is this, right? How many places we have, all the places we can use this as dynamic and it will display the website as much as we can. And then next thing, we have already added the values here. Once we click this, it is going to some other else, right? So instead of this, if I click, we need to navigate that one. So here this was home, but we have not yet mentioned that hash. So for that, in the script.js, here in the dynamic menu, I can add the hash before the click. So this will help to set that of hash, and then I will close this with this. I will use the same and then I will close this. So I need to add the hash inside this. Now it is hash of home. If I click, it will not go because this was in h of capitalized. So we need to set these things to lowercase. So how we can do that? Here we have a to lowercase. With this, if I copy, if I paste it here, if I save, if I go to the browser, it will refresh. If I click, now we are in the home. If I click about, it will go to the about session. If I click work, it will automatically go to the work. If I click service, now here the style is not correct. Here if it is in home, we can see the styles as correct. Once we set to sticky, the styles is not correct. We need to set that. So again in the style.css, so for this, once this sticky menu we have set after the a of before, because after this before we have set the values to bottom of 19 px. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I over, now it will be set to the bottom of 19. So for the first time the home should be active, right? So how we can do that in the script.js? So this is what the one major advantage using dynamic values. If I index double equal to 0, that should be home. So if this is home, then we need to set the item one dot class list dot add class of active. If I say, if I go to the browser, now we can see the home active is present, because here in the active, if I go and search this, so we have already added this of over and then active. If both present, we'll set the background of color. If I go and click this, this should be active and this over should be removed, right? If I click this should be removed and this should be active. And then whenever we scroll to this session, this automatically set to this particular menus, right? We need to jump to the script.js. First, while clicking this, we'll set that to active. For that, we need to create item one dot add event listener of click, because whenever we are going to click, this should be append of e of parameter, and then we need to set that e dot target dot parent element because this is li of a. Once we click this, we need to set the active class to that parent element only, right? Like this li class of a. So I will use the parent element of class list dot add class of active. If I go on refresh, if I click about, now it's set to active, and then if I click this set to active, this should be removed, right? For this, we are using as a desktop menu. For the desktop menu, we have already added the declaration of desktop menu with child nodes dot for each, because these are all the child nodes from that particular UL tag of li. Inside this, I will add the console.log of li. If I save, if I go to the browser in the console, if I click on about, we can get all the LIs with active class. We need to remove this class, right? Same li dot class list dot remove of active. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click, it is automatically scroll and set to active here. Once we are in the bottom, we need to go to top, right? So for that, we need to add the scroll to top. In the index.html next to footer, I will add one more div with scroll to top, and then href of a tag should be and then angle bracket. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see this. Now we need to add the styles to this. Once we click this, it will scroll to top. So anyway, we need to add the styles to that. So again, I will jump to the style.css. In the end of the list, I will add the scroll top of this class of eye of that icon. Position to be fixed. This should be fixed on that bottom below corner, and then font size to 20 px, right of -1 px. Then we'll set the bottom to 30 px, cursor to pointer. We'll set the color to primary color, and then we'll add the transition of all 0.3 second, years out 0 second. We'll add the background color of text color to set the circle like with the help of width of 45 px and then height of 45 px. We'll set the border radius to 50 px. It will set to circle, text align to be center, and then margin right to 15 px. If I save, if I go here, now it is in the left hand side. So because it is px, if I save, now we can see the scroll top here. We need to set the line height to this of 45 px. This will set to center of this one. So once we click this, this should be automatically go to top. But here it was merged with this. So we need to enable only when user is scroll to here. So for that, I will set this visibility to hidden, opacity to 0. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can't see that. Once we scroll here, that time only we need to display here. So for that, we have already created the event for scroll event. Here I will set one more if condition. The same thing, I will copy this, and then one more if condition of if greater than 400 else. So for this, we have already added the declaration of scroll top dot style dot visibility to visible. Same thing, scroll top dot style dot opacity to 1. And then same thing, I will copy here and I will paste it below here. Instead of visible, I will set to hidden, then opacity to 0. If I save, if I go here, if I scroll, now we can't see that. Once it reaches 400, then it is visible. The next thing, we need to add the response view. So if I switch back to the tablet or mobile device, it is not proper. So we need to do the functionality for that. And then once it is in the tablet view, once we click menu, this should be open the side navigation bar, right? So for that, I will jump to the style.css. Here first I will set the desktop menu to none. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can't able to see the desktop browser here. In the end of the list, we need to add three media queries. The first media query is for desktop view, for desktop query of midnight to 992. And then second thing is tablet view of tablet query with screen size min width to 481 px and then max width to 468. In between this resolution, this media query will fire. Third one is mobile view. For that mobile query, I will set screen size only with max width of 480. So for the first thing, whenever we are in the desktop view, that time only we need to show the menu bar, right? So right now we have set this side mobile menu as display to none. I will set the desktop menu as display to block. If I save, if I go to the browser here, now we can see the menus. If I go to the tablet view, it is not visible. So for that, we need to add the styles to that. So whenever we are in the tablet view, we need to add the styles to that. Transparent header of padding should be 1 rem. So right now we are added 5 rem. If I go to the mobile view, now it is 5 rem. If I switch back to the tablet view, this should be 1 rem. So here we can see the difference of the styles. And then next thing, I will add the main menu dot mobile bar. We need to set to visible, right? That three bars will set the display to block, margin left to 25 px. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see this. Once we click this, we need to open the site navigation bar, right? So for that, I will jump to the script.js. In the script.js, we need to add some event listener. For that, we have already created that open menu dot add event listener of that menu bars with click of function. Inside that, we are going to add the site mobile menu dot class list dot add of open menu bar, and then body overlay dot class list dot add of opened. And then we need to create one more function with close menu bar. Inside this function, we are going to close that. So I will copy this same and I will paste it inside here. And instead of add, I will set to remove. So for this, where we can remove, we have the close menu on that side neighbor. For this, I will create that add event listener of function, and then I will call the function of close menu bar. Next thing of body overlay dot add event listener. These are the declaration we have declared on the top of click close menu bar. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click, nothing is happened, right? If I go and check that, here we have added. So if I refresh now, here in the side mobile menu, nothing is there. There is no more class. If I click this, here we have added the open menu bar. So we need to add the styles to this open menu bar. So again, I will jump to this style.css. I will move to the top of that side menu bar. Here dot side menu bar dot open menu. I will set the left to 0. One more thing I need to add for that body overlay. So here body overlay dot opened. If I set these things to opened, we need to set this opacity to 1, visibility to visible. If I save, if I refresh, if I click on open, it was opened. So we need to set this body overlay outside this side navigation bar. So because inside this it is set to z index to same. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on menu, we can see the menu item here. Once we click this, it is automatically scroll to that particular position. But still some of the places design is not same. We need to fix that. So again, I will jump to the style.css in that media query of tablet view. For this first, I will set the social menu with padding right to 25 px. I will set the slider height to 600 px. If I save, if I go to the browser, now it's set to 600 px. So the next thing we need to set this font size of that h1. I will set to 60 px. If I save, it is reduced and we can able to see this. The next thing we need to add this feature in a 2 per column, right? So previously we have done this for adding the grid. So I will use the same for intro feature as well as the block content too. So the same thing, the block content also should be in this 2 per row. So I will go here, if I save, if I go to the browser here, now we can see that 2 per row. If I click, if I go to the future, now we can see that 2 per row. Still the margin top is there. We need to reset that. For that we have already added the nth child of 2 and 4. I will reset to margin top of 0 for that. So if I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see that margin top to this. For that all container, we used to set to padding of 5 rem. So now I need to set to padding of 3 rem for these containers. And then title size to be 40px and then margin to 10px. If I save, now we can see the about image of 400px, and then we need to set this flux direction to be column because this was displayed to flux. We need to set to column to flux direction. I will add some content which are all the places set to flux direction to be column. These are all the place of the element. I need to set the flux direction to be column. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the style of width of 400, and then we can able to see the top and bottom and then list and then year. Everything looks good, but here in the about content, here it is not good. We need to fix that, and then I need to reduce the marquee font size also. For that marquee font size, I will set to 60px. I will set the post category of work title should be font size of 25px. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the title space was reduced. Next thing, I will scroll here the experience. This should be column wise. I need to change this flux direction as column wise. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the column wise reversed. Education should be on top and then experience should be bottom. If you go to the laptop view, experience is the first and then education is the next. For the tablet view, it was reversed. I will set other font size here for the works and service. If I save, if I go to the browser here, we can see this. Now for the tablet view, everything looks great. If I click menu, we can see that menu and then click also working and everything looks fine. If I switch to the mobile view, still it is not fine. So we need to fix this with that query of mobile screen. So here almost the similar thing we need to do. For that, I will copy this entire thing for the tablet view and I will paste it for mobile also. If I save, if I go to the browser here, something looks fine. We need to change some other thing also. I will change the styles from the top. The transparent header, this should be same. This one is also same. And then for the single slider, I will set to width of same. And then here for this container, I will set to 35px. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see this. And then next thing, I need to change the intro feature of a row. I will set to padding of 3 rem, then 2 rem. For this mobile view, we are not going to show this icons for here because it was merged. So for that mobile view only, I will set this social home to be display none. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can't see that. And then next thing for the flux direction column, we need to add some content same as above. So I will use this row for the flux direction. If I save, if I go to the browser, here it was added. So still the issue is there for that service. I will go to the top and then only for works and service, we need to set to display flags and then flux direction should be column. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the content here. If I click, it will be open the side menu, but still we have some gaps here. So we need to fix that where it is coming from. So here the gap is coming from here, this content form. We need to fix that. This is from the footer. So for this, for all other values with that footer, I will set to 2 rem instead of 3, and then I will set the font size of h2 and then width of height to be 300, and then about info of flux wrap should be wrap, and then about content of padding right to be 15px. And then for this mobile view, I will reduce sizing to the marquee of font size to 40px, and then I will set the content to be block, and then I will reduce these things to align item to be flux short. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I click on menu, it is coming correctly and we can see all the text here as we expected with responsive. If I go to the tablet view, we can see the content as visible as possible, and then the style should be added for the WebKit of scroll bar. So for that we are having that WebKit scroll bar to add the styles of dynamic WebKit scroll bar width of 8px, and then background color to be 1f f1 f1 f1, and then background of that scroll bar should be same as text color. If I save, if I go to the browser, If I expand this, now we can see the scroll bar styles here. So now once we scroll, we need to automatically set this menu active from that particular session. That is the last one and then final thing. For that, I will jump to the script.js. I will create one more function of on page navigation. So here inside that we'll get that scroll y with window dot page y offset. So we need to call this on page navigation on that scroll event. Here we need to add the one more let declaration of sessions. So for that I will create one more const and I will add the declaration with sessions and then document dot query selector all of sessions with id. What this will do for this sessions dot for each of current will set that const session height equal to current dot offset height. So here we'll add the console dot log of current. If I save, if I go to the browser here in the console, if I scroll, we will get all the sessions here inside this current. So with the help of this, we can find that offset height and then we need to set that. I will create one more const of session top. Then this session top contains current dot get bounting client reset dot top plus window dot page y offset minus 50 because we are going to set this above the 50. I will create one more declaration of session id equal to current dot get attribute of id. This will get that session id here. So with the help of this id we can directly set that, right? So if document dot query selector of dot desktop menu of a of href asterisk equal to session id, if not equal to undefined, then we need to perform that. If scroll y greater than session top and then scroll y less than equal to session top plus session height. If this if condition matches, we can directly use this document dot query selector dot parent element dot class list dot add of active. Else we'll set this same thing and then instead of add we need to remove this. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I go to the top, if I refresh, if I scroll, now we are almost in the about session. See how simple is this, right? The about session before the minus 50, it will find and it will set active. If I scroll to the top, it will remove all the active from other class. If I scroll, it will be automatically scroll to the session and it will set to active here. And if I go to the tablet view, we can see the design. If I go to the mobile view, we can see the design. The design is not proper, so I need to fix this. For that, again, I will jump to the style.css for the mobile view footer with social footer. So for this, we need to set the display WebKit box. If I save, now if I go to the browser, now we can able to see the social network icon in the list view. So if I go to the tablet view, it should be in the single view. And then if I go to the laptop view, we can see, as I said, the menu is dynamic. So I will remove work and service from here. If I save, what will happen? So here it was removed work and service from here, right? If I scroll, but still I can able to see the work service session also here. So we need to remove this too. So for that, in the script.js for the onload, we need to write one more condition of document dot get element by id with menu dot to lowercase. With the same one I can use this. So for this inside the for each, I will set this document dot get element by id. This is the menu's id we get as the same for that navigation, and then we'll set simply style dot display equal to block. I will go to the style.css here on the top. Before the header, I can set all the sessions display to none. If I save, I will go and refresh the browser. Here now we can see only home, about, content and block. If I scroll, we can see home and then about and then contact and then block. So other two things is not visible. So again, I will go and enable this like service works. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see all the menus. If I scroll, we'll get that work. If I scroll, we'll get the services too, and then contact and then blog. If I click on scroll to the top, if we scroll, it will set the session. Finally, we have completed this dynamic software engineer portfolio using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I hope this video will be helpful for you. Please like this video and also subscribe to my channel Sarat Chandar K to watch more videos like this one. If you are interested in JavaScript projects like this, I have created and added a playlist link in the description. Please do check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep coding and keep learning. See you in the next video. Happy coding. Bye for now. Have a nice day.